The Blockstream Jade is one of the most affordable hardware wallets on the market to secure your Bitcoin. It can be used both on desktop and on mobile with Blockstream Green. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Blockstream Jade, including initial setup and use. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we get started, quick shout out to sponsors of the show, Shakepay.com. If you're in Canada and you're buying Bitcoin, this is one of the easiest ways to do it. You can e-transfer in and out in minutes, no deposit or withdrawal fees, thin spread, and there is a link down below. If you click that, sign up and buy your first $100 worth of Bitcoin, they'll give you $30 for free. You'll get another $30 for every friend and family member that you also recommend, and they do the same. And then you can also shake your phone every single day for free sats, build up streaks, and earn additional Bitcoin. They also have a sats-backed Visa card, their Shakepay program, just so many different ways to stack additional Bitcoin. Be sure to check them out in the links down below. Up next, we have LEDN.io. Love these guys. I use them regularly. In particular, whenever I'm in a pinch and there's a cash flow issue and I need to get my hands on dollars, but I don't want to sell my Bitcoin because that's a taxable event, or I'm just worried about having to buy back in at a higher price, I can use LEDN by depositing Bitcoin, getting a loan of dollars to my bank account within 24 hours. And when I pay back those dollars, I get back the same amount of Bitcoin. Now, on top of this, they also have savings accounts for Bitcoin and USDC to earn a little bit of interest. They have their B2X offering if you're feeling bullish and you feel like your timing might be good. And they are also getting into Bitcoin-backed mortgages, in particular for Canadians. They're rolling that out in Ontario, BC, and then across country, so keep an eye out for that. You can sign up at start.ledn.io/BTC sessions if you want to check out anything they have to offer, and you can also get $10 for free if you fund your savings account. Check them out. Up next, we have Bitrefill.com. These guys help me out a ton just living on Bitcoin because I can get gift cards, whatever I want, with Bitcoin, both on-chain and via Lightning Network. I earn sats back as I shop. You can earn even more sats back with their referral program. And if you're in the US, might be worth checking out if you're looking to get on the Bitcoin standard because they have bill payments rolling out. So be sure to check them out. Again, links are down below. Up next, Keystone, one of my more used hardware wallets. It is a 100% air gap, meaning that you don't plug it into anything internet connected. Everything's done offline via QR code. This just keeps the keys to your money safe and away from internet connections. I highly recommend you upgrade to the Bitcoin only firmware. It works great with things like Blue Wallet, Sparrow, Spectre, and it's really awesome in a multi-sig setup that scanning QR codes is just super slick and very easy to operate with. So be sure to check them out. I have a link down below to grab one, and I also do have a full tutorial on this device on my channel. And finally, if you're backing up any important Bitcoin wallet, be sure to get it in solid steel because you don't want just pieces of paper sitting around. That opens you up to things like fire damage and water damage, or accidentally discarding it because it's just a piece of paper. Steel backup with something like the BillFodl over at Privacy Pros has you covered. This gives me that peace of mind when I'm backing up anything important, and it's pretty substantial. So definitely get your hands on one of these if you're backing up any of your important hardware, including something like the Jade. Definitely worth grabbing a BillFodl. With that, let's dive into the show. So let's just take a little bit of a deeper look at what the Jade is and what it offers. It is a hardware wallet, one of the cheaper ones on the market. At the time of recording this video, it's around $45 for one of these, so pretty decent price point. And it's typically used with Blockstream Green, which is Blockstream's own desktop and mobile wallet offering. So you can pair this either by plugging it into your computer or by plugging it into your Android phone or utilizing Bluetooth on Android or iOS. So it basically opens it up for use with iOS, which is nice because there's a few hardware wallets where that's just not possible. Now, it does also support Liquid Network, which is a sidechain of Bitcoin, and any Liquid supported tokens, things like Tether, or even just vouchers. Like they have a voucher where you can purchase different items from their stores. There's also the Blockstream mining note and all that kind of stuff. You could basically issue actual securities on the Blockstream Liquid sidechain. I'm not going to be getting into the Liquid stuff in this video. I've covered Liquid in a variety of other videos, including a previous video I did on the Jade with desktop. Now today I'm going to be focusing only on mobile. We're going to only be using Blockstream Green on mobile. I should also say that this does work and is compatible with Spectre for desktop. So if you want to pair it with that, you can. Outside of that, yeah, it's got you know, the regular, and let me just pull my cam here so you can see it. But you know, you've got your regular front-facing screen. You've got a button on the front here. You've got a little scrolling wheel on the top, and then you have your charging port USB-C, and then the power button again on the bottom. And outside of that, there's also a camera on the back. I will say at the time of recording this video, there has not been a software update for you to utilize that in any form yet, but that is supposed to be on the roadmap, and we'll discuss more about that later. But in general, that's pretty much all you need to know. And in terms of any prerequisites, you should have a general idea of how to do Bitcoin transactions. And if you want some bonus, then go back and check out my Blockstream Green video as well, just the basic how to use Blockstream Green, but we'll be getting into that in this video as well. So with that, let's actually boot this thing up and get started. All right, so once again, I've got the Blockstream Jade right here, and we're just going to boot it up by pressing the button on the bottom and holding. By the way, when you first get it, you'll probably need to charge with your USB-C cable, which can just be plugged into any power block or into your computer or whatever it may be. But nonetheless, I'm going to press this bottom button, and we'll see the screen boot up here. And then the first screen you're going to see is going to say initialize, and you're going to select that by pressing the front button. Now, you have the option to create a new wallet or to recover a wallet. So this is where if you had a seed phrase previously and you wanted to import it, you could hit recover and enter that seed phrase there. But we're going to be creating a new wallet, so we're going to select that. And I'm scrolling just by using this scrolling wheel up top, back and forth, and this allows me to make my selection. So I'm going to go ahead and hit new. And then if you want just a 12-word seed phrase, you can go ahead and do that. In advance, this gives you the option if you'd like a 24-word seed phrase. We're just going to use 12 for right now. This is going to give you your seed phrase. So you're going to write down these words. You'll hit the button to hit the next, and then we'll come back once I've written down all these words. Okay, once I've gotten to the end here, we just hit the check mark. And then we're going to confirm our words. So what I'm looking for is the correct word that would be in the number 11 spot. The words above and below are what number 10 are and number 12 are. So I can see on my piece of paper here, word number 11 would be mixed. So I'm going to use the scroll wheel until I find the word mixed. Now that I see it, I select it with the button. I'm going to do this for as many words as it asks me for, and then we'll come back when we're done. After confirming the words in my passphrase, it's going to ask me, do you want to protect the wallet with a passphrase? So a passphrase is an additional word that you're going to add. It can be really anything, and it effectively creates an entirely different wallet. And where this is useful is if you're worried about somebody coming across your seed phrase that you've written down and that giving them access to all of your funds, if you're worried that you're not able to secure that properly, then you may want to add a passphrase, as nobody would even know that there was a passphrase associated with your wallet. The drawback to this, so again, just to clarify, somebody could find your seed phrase, and if you didn't have a passphrase, they could basically take all of the money off of your Jade just by having those 12 words. If you add a passphrase, that is not possible, nor would anybody know that there's a passphrase even associated with your words. But if you forget this passphrase, there is no one to help you. Nobody can help you recover your funds. So in this example, we're not going to do a passphrase, but just know that the option is there if you need and desire that extra security. So I'm going to hit no for this. All right, it says, how do you want to connect to your Jade to green? And we have the option of USB or Bluetooth. Today, I'm going to be using Bluetooth because we're going to be dealing exclusively with our mobile device. So I'm going to roll over to Bluetooth. Just know that USB is available for both your desktop or with Android on mobile. So I'm going to go Bluetooth. Okay, so now you're going to go to Green Companion app to pair the Jade. So here I am in Blockstream Green. Now it's important to make sure that your Bluetooth is turned on your phone. And you're just going to select Blockstream and make sure that the Jade is still on and functioning. So you can see that it notices the Jade is there and that the signal is coming through. So I'm going to tap on that. And then this is going to allow me to set up a wallet, whether it be single sig, multi-sig, or multi-sig liquid. Now, what are the difference between these accounts? A single sig Bitcoin wallet would be the seed phrase that you wrote down all by itself, and that's all you need for recovery, unless, of course, you've done a passphrase with it. You would need that as well. That will give you access to this. Multi-sig Bitcoin, the way this works is that you have a key on your Jade, but then there's a second key on Blockstream's servers. And what this does is if somebody gets a hold, again, of your seed phrase, your 12 words, if it's a single sig and you don't have a passphrase attached, then they could feasibly be able to just take all of your funds. With the multi-sig, if they got your passphrase, or rather if they got your seed phrase, they would also need the other key that Blockstream holds, the seed phrase that they hold, in order to access your funds. They wouldn't be able to do anything with that. So effectively, you would set up a second factor authentication method, which could be a text message that gives you a code, or it could be Google Authenticator that regenerates a new code every 30 or 60 seconds. So there's different ways to do it. It could be an email. You can set it up in different ways. Now, the one issue with the multi-sig, and you have to be okay with this, is if you lose your second factor, like let's say you had you had Google Authenticator and you deleted that app and you didn't have a recovery to get your code, you then have to wait for a timeout, which could be upwards of a year to access your funds. So if you want that trade-off after that timeout happens, then yes, you'll have access to your funds, but it's a trade-off here. The security of your seed phrase versus your ability to immediately access funds if you screw up. So if you're using the multi-sig option, just be conscious of that. And then there's multi-sig liquid. Again, I've covered liquid on the Jade in a previous video, and I'll link that down below. But today, we're just gonna do, for simplicity's sake, single sig Bitcoin. We're gonna tap here. We're gonna hit pair and connect. And again, we'll hit pair there. We have a pairing request. We're gonna hit pair and connect. There's a confirmation code on the Jade that gives us a number, 521101, same as what I see. I'm gonna hit confirm, and I'm gonna hit pair. Okay, and now it's saying enter PIN on Jade. So we need to set up a PIN number for this device. You just scroll through, you're gonna pick numbers, you have 6 digits. I'm going to, again, for this tutorial, we're just gonna keep it simple. We're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not an ideal PIN number, but again, this is just a demo video. Then it's gonna ask you to confirm the new PIN. There we go, presenting PIN data. I can see that that worked on the Jade and it's ready. And then it says logging in on my phone. There we go. So we can see that we now have the Jade single sig Bitcoin. It says in really fine print down there, Jade, and then our identifier number of our device. It says legacy account 1. It has our balance in Bitcoin and in US dollars down below. And then if you tap on the account, you actually have two different ones. You have a SegWit account and a legacy account. Now, what's the difference between those? It's the address type. So the legacy account has the wrapped SegWit, which starts with a 3, slightly less efficient in terms of transaction fees. And then the SegWit account has addresses that start with BC1, and those ones are the most efficient when it comes to, again, your transaction fees when sending back out of the wallet. We're going to be utilizing the SegWit account for this video. By the way, you can add new accounts and you can archive accounts. And just because I don't want to be dealing with the legacy account right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the 3 dots in the top right of that legacy account, and I'm going to hit archive account, and we'll just leave that as is. If I wanted to, in the top right of the SegWit account, I could rename it to whatever I want. And if I wanted to add an account, it gives me the options between legacy and SegWit. But as is, here we go. Let's do some investigation and poking around, learning about what's in front of us here. All right, so just some general navigation of Green, Blockstream Green, when dealing with your Jade. So on your main account, again, you have the account that's currently open, you have the balance down below, and you will see any previous transactions for that account right here, or if you have multiple accounts up, same deal. In the top left, you get the sandwich board here that you can open up this side menu and you can navigate between wallets, whether it be the Jade that you have open or maybe a hot wallet or multi-sig wallet that you have sitting actually natively in Green. And then your devices down below. Again, you can also use things like Ledger and Trezor, depending on if you're using in iPhone or whether you're in iPhone or Android. I believe the Ledger will work just fine with Bluetooth in Blockstream Green, whereas the Trezor needs to be plugged in, so you'd need Android. But all of that is moot if you're on desktop. Then you can use anything. But I digress. Close that menu here. In the top right, you have your settings cog, and this gives you your pretty much everything you need to do. You can log out of your actual wallet that you're in. That would just log you out of the Jade, and you need to connect and put in your PIN again. You have your Bitcoin denomination. I've always been partial to sats. They do have, I don't know why you would want to use any of these millibits, microbits, or bits, or sats. Pretty much for me, it's either Bitcoin or sats. So I'll just move that to sats. Your reference exchange rate, you can choose as they start to add additional options for exchange rates there. You can do that. What else here? Default transaction priority, whether you want it by default to be slow, medium, or fast based on your preference for fees. And then your default custom fee rate, you just set a number here, 1 sat per byte, 2 sats per byte, whatever it may be. I'm going to leave it at 1, and then we can, you can adjust within the transaction itself. You have your auto logout timeout. Okay, so how long before you log out of the wallet and you need to actually put in a PIN or turn on the device again, so on and so forth. And that's pretty much it. Version, terms of service, privacy policy down at the bottom. We can navigate back to the main screen here. Again, all your account options if you tap on the account itself. If you tap on the balance here, you'll see asset details, the name of the asset, the block height, the total balance, all of that stuff there. And then down at the very bottom, you have your send screen. Again, no coins to send right now, so it gives me that warning. And then the receive screen, this gives you your address, and you can verify this address on the device. And we'll do that as we start receiving funds. So we're going to do that next and start interacting with our Jade. So let's start by receiving some Bitcoin into our Segwit account on our Blockstream Jade. So just down at the bottom of Blockstream Green, we're going to hit receive, and we have this address that could be scanned by anybody, or if we wish to copy and paste an address and message it to somebody, we can do that. There's also a share button that will give you options of different apps you could send it in. Now, the other thing that I'd like to do is verify this address on my device, and I can hit this button here. And on my device, it will show me the address that should be represented here on my screen. If that is the correct address, then I can hit the check mark and we're all good. This is because your device, your Blockstream Jade, is actually supposed to be the beacon of truth. This is the one that generates the addresses. And so you want to confirm that the address on your phone, which is connected to the internet, which could be compromised, is actually displaying the correct address that was generated on the device itself. Now it did, so I'm just going to hit the check mark and we're all good. So it says success. We verified that on our device. There are some more options down below. We can request a specific amount if you want to invoice a specific amount of Bitcoin. We're not going to do that. We're just going to go ahead. We're going to copy this address right now. Now I also have on my phone here, I've got Moon Wallet, and we're going to be sending over from this hot wallet on my phone to the Jade. So here within Moon Wallet, I'm just going to hit send. I'm going to paste in the address from our clipboard. I made note of the last few digits to make sure it was the same. And then we'll just, we'll send over, we'll say $40. Okay, I'll hit confirm amount. We'll just say Jade as our little note there, confirm the note. And fees are a little high today, but you know, I'm kind of used to when things fluctuate. Every once in a while, it's going to cost me a couple bucks to make a tutorial. So we'll just expedite that, make sure that it goes through nice and quick. So I'm going to hit confirm fee. I'll send it over. Off it goes. And we should be able to jump back to Blockstream Green. We'll just back out of this address here. And in a moment, and by the way, you can swipe down to refresh, but in a moment, there we go. We see it pop in and we see the number of sats come in, around $40 worth or 178,000 sats. So we'll just wait for this to confirm and then we'll be able to test sending out. And just to add, you can actually tap on the transaction here and there's a bunch of details for you. So you can see the number of sats received, you can see the fee that was paid and the sats per byte. You can also see if it's confirmed or not and how many confirmations it has. You can also see the transaction details, including the transaction ID. You can add notes to it and save. You know, this was a test, all right? And we can just save that information if we choose. We can also view in the Explorer. So we can go ahead and this will open up blockstream.info and it will give us, again, our transaction details, where it's sitting in the mempool, all of that stuff that we may want to know about this particular transaction. So we can see right here, it's unconfirmed. It's looking like it's going to confirm in the next block. We can see transaction fees, all that kind of stuff, privacy analysis, all of that available over at blockstream.info. So with that, again, we'll just wait for this to confirm and we'll be back momentarily. All right, so we have some confirmations on our transaction here. If we tap, we can see we've got 3 confirmations here. We will be able to spend this out, even though it says 3 out of 6 confirmations. That's more of just a recommendation, but you are capable of spending after a confirmation here. So we're going to go ahead and send. We're just going to jump back to Moon Wallet for a moment, and we're going to grab ourselves a receiving address. So I'm just going to hit receive. Here's a Bitcoin address, and now I can jump back to Green Wallet, and we're going to hit send. We're going to paste in our address. You can tap and paste, or you can just hit paste the button there. Alternatively, if you were scanning a QR code, you would just tap the little square there and that would open up your camera. Again, you have the option to send whatever your asset is. If you're dealing with a liquid wallet, then you might have some vouchers or something else in there. But anyways, we're sending Bitcoin. Now, what amount are we sending here? And this is in sats, but I believe you can tap the arrows here and that can cycle to USD. So I'm going to send out about half. We'll send out about $20, and that translates the sats for me, and the inverse would be true if I wanted a specific amount of Bitcoin. Down below, we can see what are we going to set for our fee. I'm looking right now. Now, if you want to edit your fee, you hit the edit button here. This is a custom fee rate right there. Alternatively, you can use the slider depending on how quickly you want your transaction to go through. I'm looking at this. This looks fine to me, so I'll go ahead. I'm going to hit next. This gives you a summary. Hey, you're sending to this address, this many sats, which is this much in fiat, and the fee that you're paying. You can add a note if you choose to. I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to go ahead and slide to send. Now this prompts me to confirm on my device. So I'm going to pick up the Jade. It says, hey, you're sending this amount of Bitcoin to this address. Does that look good to you? If so, hit the check mark. Alternatively, if not, hit the X. So we'll check. And then your fee is as follows, good or no. We'll hit the check again. Ready. Transaction sent. We can see it pop up there. And again, some refreshes and we'll see this pop up. I already am getting a notification from Moon Wallet saying that it has come in there. So we'll just jump over really quick so that we can see that. All right, there's our incoming transaction right there. We can see that we're waiting for a confirmation. And back here in green, we can see the outgoing transaction, which we can tap on and we can see, hey, there's our recipient. This is how much you're sending. Here's the fee. And then it also gives us the option to increase the fee. So this is, we can hit tap here and you can bump it up to whatever you like. So you could bump it up even further than it was. And then you would then hit next, and basically you would redo the transaction. This is replaced by fee. So I'm not going to do that right now. Don't need to. But that is an option, just so you know, if you're waiting on confirmations. And again, we can view it in the Explorer if we like. But more or less, that's that. We've received and we've sent. Now, I wanted to show you on the Jade itself. Once you've actually connected it to a device, you have some options down along the bottom when you're not in the midst of a transaction. So you can put the thing to sleep just by tapping that option. Up next, though, you have settings, and this gives you your power off timeout, and you can set this anywhere from 1 to 15 minutes. So you can go ahead and do that. I've set mine at the highest one. I find it annoying when it goes to sleep and disconnects, so I would prefer it to stay open. You have your multi-sig. There's no multi-sigs registered, but you can use this in a multi-sig, so this gives you that option there. And then factory reset would reset the entire device from scratch. Okay, so it would wipe the seed and everything, so you can do that here. And then otherwise you can go to the exit. Other than that, you have your Bluetooth. You can enable it, or you can reset it. All the pairing, all that stuff is here. And some people prefer to just have this without the Bluetooth enabled, and this is where you would be able to undo that. And then finally, just general info in the final screen, what firmware version you're on, all that kind of stuff. So that is all here. And that's that. So let's chat some of my thoughts overall on the Blockstream Jade. Now, number one is the price point. Obviously, $45 in comparison to a lot of the other options out there is pretty damn good. And I will say that in terms of the build quality, just in comparison to some of the other cheaper options on the market, like say the Ledger Nano S or the Trezor One, the original one, this is no less robust than what they've got going there. It is plastic, but it feels basically as solid as a Trezor or a Ledger would. Now, some of my and I've done a video on this before, and I've utilized it before, just in playing around. And I've got to say that the experience has gotten better. I definitely ran into a ton of rather annoying bugs early on, and I think that was a symptom of Blockstream maybe just had a lot going on and it wasn't a primary focus. Some of my feedback that I gave them as I encountered things has been fixed. So before, there was no ability in Blockstream Green to archive accounts, and that's now a thing that you can do. However, there are still some things that that are less than ideal that can be fixed, but just they need the attention in order to do that. So one thing I'll note in terms of updates and firmware and stuff like that, just so you know, when you first log in to this thing after connecting it to Blockstream Green, if there is a firmware update, which I did before I actually put this video together, you'll be notified after putting in your PIN, and then it'll just give you the option to upgrade the firmware, and that'll just automatically happen for you. Now, in terms of gripes or issues that I came across with this, one of them was when things would time out and this thing would power down. The Bluetooth connection of it, the first time you do it, works pretty well. When it stops being connected, I found that every time I had to shut down the device, turn off the Bluetooth on my phone, and shut down Blockstream Green, like turn off the app, shut down the app, and then restart that and go through the pairing screen again. Otherwise, what would happen is it would get to the option where I could see the option to have the Jade on my screen, but I would tap it and it would just kind of like cycle through, like it wouldn't do anything. And it just wouldn't connect. And then on top of that, on my native kind of Bluetooth screen on my phone, I would see the Jade there twice. It's like it kept the old connection and then was trying to do a second new one, and just none of it would take. So I don't know what's going on there, but to be honest, it's a bit of a pain in the ass having to shut this down, turn off the app, and then I had to actually go in and forget the Bluetooth connection that I had to the Jade prior, and I had to redo all of that every time, every single time. So if you're watching this Blockstream, there's something going on there that needs a fix. But that, again, that said, that's a software fix. That's something that can be fixed. So when that is fixed, it's just gone. It's not like you need a new device. And so that's where I'm torn here, because this thing does what it needs to do, and the bugs that I'm presented with are just kind of annoying things that just need some attention. That's all. Another one that I came across is, I mentioned earlier in some of my other feedback, was archiving accounts wasn't available in Green. Well, now it is, but here's the thing. Every time you open up Blockstream Green, we had the legacy and the SegWit account. It defaults back to the legacy account, even though it's been archived. And so then you go into your accounts screen where you have the two different accounts. You click on SegWit. That will now be the one open, and then the legacy account will go back to being archived. But it's just, again, a kind of annoying bug where it's like, this shouldn't be there. Like, it just needs to be fixed. The other thing that I'd like to mention is there's a camera on this, right? There's a camera on the back. Now, the Jade has been out for a fair amount of time. It's been on the market for, I think, a couple of years now, if I'm not mistaken. Eventually they're going to do something with this camera. It is usable, but it's been a couple years, and it would be cool if it was usable, because what does that enable when you have the camera? Well, you could do a lot of things with that. In particular, you could air gap this thing instead, and if I'm not mistaken, you could air gap it instead of using Bluetooth. And what that looks like is perhaps with a firmware upgrade, you could do things like, bringing up a QR code of your XPub on the screen of this device and scanning it with other compatible wallets like Blue Wallet and Sparrow Wallet. So you could import this into those other wallets, and then you could be signing transactions via QR code rather than Bluetooth, perhaps. That could be an option. And beyond that, you could also do things like checking addresses by scanning with your actual Jade instead of doing it over Bluetooth. So it just opens up more functionality that would be very convenient to have. And I think, if there's availability on the team and they're working on this stuff, then I'd love to see the Jade get more attention, because it could be the choice in terms of low-cost hardware. It's just finicky, and they're just things that are just kind of annoyingly sitting there. And so I would, again, I'll really encourage the team to put some more love into the Jade, because the hardware's all there. The hardware all functions. It's just little things that I've encountered. And I will say, again, there was a lot more before. So they have been giving some attention, but maybe it's just that enough people aren't looking at it and submitting bug reports and stuff like that. So here's a couple. Hopefully when I do another video, maybe after the camera is activated, then it'll make more sense for me to play around with this more. I also enjoy that they've added in the function of multi-sig. However, I don't have Spectre running on my computer, and so I wasn't really able to play with that and really experiment with it. But that's another thing that I'd love to see more of, is cross-compatibility with other options of wallets. Right now, it's effectively, you can use it with Blockstream Green, and you can use it with Spectre. And I was glad to see Spectre as a non-Blockstream option, but I would really love to see it with things like Blue Wallet and Sparrow Wallet. And there's a lot of other wallets out there, and cross-compatibility is the name of the game, and that's what I see coming out of a lot of other options. Is this should just work with everything. So reach out to those teams and start trying to implement things. That would be awesome. Again, all in all, the device itself, when it works, it's great. Like you saw, doing transactions and everything, the interface on Green is really nice and smooth, and everything seems to be well thought out. It just needs to be implemented a little bit better, and some of those fixes implemented before I would regularly use this. But if you're in the market for something cheap that with a little bit of tinkering around will do the job that it's supposed to do, then the Jade at current time could be a good option for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please do hit like, subscribe, share. All those things really are important. They help get shows like this in front of more eyeballs. If you want to help out the show in another way, you can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors down below: Shakepay, LEDN, Bitrefill, Keystone, and the BillFodl at privacypros.io. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always hit me up with a Bitcoin tip at my Strike page. That is strike.me/BTC sessions. You get there, you type in any amount you want, hit the tip button. You'll see a Lightning invoice, or if you prefer, tap the arrow to the right and you'll see a regular Bitcoin QR code. With that, I'm out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.